Relax, the keyboard is off, the press is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, the Flyers celebrate Christmas in July with a long list of gifts. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink. Join Lance Green and SteelFlyers as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Hockey Writers Ink. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers, and this, the Hockey Writers Ink, a Philadelphia Flyers hockey podcast. And Lance, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. It was a nice week.
Yeah, it was a nice week. A little warm, a little smoky, and a little stormy.
Yeah.
Right? And, wait for it, we had a lot of stuff happen in Flyer land, didn't we?
We did. A lot of things transpire.
You know, it was funny because last week we talked about the fact that, okay, some moves were made by Danny Briere and the new regime and the new orange, whatever you want to call it, and some moves were made, but there was still a lot of things that still were left on the list, right? And it appears that, well, somebody was checking it twice, the list, and the Flyers were a little bit nice, I guess. And, okay, you get where this is going, okay? Come on, give me a little break here, okay? Episode 130, the Flyers celebrate Christmas in July with a long list of wonderful achievements and gifts we've gotten over the last few weeks here, or the last week. Let's get into it. Mr. Green, what do you think? Lots of stuff has happened. Mm-hmm. A lot of transpired, right? What's the top thing on your list of things that happened over the last week in Fire?
Well, I think what tops everything would be the signing of Cam York. I think they got him back for a song.
Especially a cheap song.
Especially since you already traded Ivan Provorov. Now it gives him the ability to play his natural side, the left side, and only for $1.6 million. You signed him for 2 years. I would have liked to see it as a 3-year deal, but hey, for $1.6 million a year, I think that is going to be a great value for the next couple of years, and allow him to grow into the defenseman that the Flyers think that he can be.
That's, Lance, that's a great way to say that he got a great bridge deal, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's coming off his entry level, right? Okay, and to be honest with you, I think what Cam York really needs is, and we've seen this throughout his career, we saw this when he was playing in juniors, right? Before he was even drafted, we saw this. He needs to be the leader that we know he can be. And behind Provorov, he was never going to be that. Okay? Now, do we think he's going to be number one D-man if he plays his natural side?
It's tough to say. I think he needs the opportunity to be that guy at least. And now that Provorov is gone, he is going to have that opportunity. Sanheim might take it to start, and I don't really like the idea of that. But he had 20 points last year in 54 games with the Flyers. I think he has a lot of room to grow. He showed a lot on the power play. He showed that he can move the puck around quite a bit. He hopefully will have some more weapons coming back this year to help him on the power play to get a couple of more points.
Hey, that'd be nice.
But the biggest thing, Steel, like I said, he's going to have hopefully the opportunity to play his natural side, which is on the left side of the ice, instead of playing the opposite side where he's kind of handcuffed, I call it.
Yeah.
Trying to stop that puck on his unnatural side on the boards, it's tough. And then you're taking that split second decision making time away because he's now got to pull it out of his skates or figure
Turn
out a way to
backwards or whatever.
turn it around and get moving. So I think it's only going to help him to play his natural side now and get the amount of ice time that he deserves if he's a first round pick like he is. So, he's now going to have the opportunity. So that is the biggest move, I think, this week that the Flyers made for the better, for sure.
So do you don't think that they're rushing him at all, or
No.
Okay, so you feel that this is a nice natural progression for Cam to sign this kind of a deal, to be in a position where he will be able to have an elevated role with the team this year, or potentially an elevated role with the team this year, potentially more minutes, maybe even more of a leadership role because he's kind of getting to be, one of the old guys on the block now, you know what I mean? As far
Well, I mean, yeah, if you could call 22 old
guys on the block, right? But
sure.
but,
I mean, he's played parts of 3 seasons now with the Flyers. Of course, in 2021, he just played in 3 games at the end of the year, coming off of playing with Michigan. I definitely think that was the right time for him to move on. He did what he could do in Michigan. He had great time there. He learned a lot there. He was ready to make the step to pros. He played parts of even last season now with the Phantoms. I think he had 13 points in 20 games.
Yeah, so, he was good down there.
He was good. He was highlight. He was a guy that, fans came to watch there because they knew he wasn't going to be there for very long. And rightfully so. I think he came up last year after playing 30 games the year before with the Flyers and, showed that he belonged and could hang in there, especially, being such a young player and forced to play his non-dominant side. I think he did great. And, given the fact that the team was in shambles and all that, I think he shined. He was one of the only bright spots for the team last year. And, I just hope he can continue to progress this year. And, hopefully Danny Briere looks like an absolute genius for signing him to this very minimal deal in what I thought. I thought it would be closer to something like Noah Cates got.
Yeah. Which, hey, you know what? That's a perfect.
Hey, look at that.
Look at that.
It's like I knew what I was doing there. So, again, the Flyers also signed another player, being Noah Cates. Now, Noah Cates, of course, helped out the Flyers a lot. All right. He was, potentially a left winger that we need in the system right now.
Oh,
but out of pure desperation with Sean Couturier, going down, he was able to move over to play center, which Tortorella thought he would be good at, and he darn sure was.
Yeah.
Last year, he scored 13 goals, 25 assists for 38 points. He was a +3. I would like to see that rise a little bit, given the fact that he is supposed to be, Couturier-esque there, or Patrice Bergeron-esque is what these people are putting him on this pedestal. But, he signed back for $2.625 million to $2.6 million a year. He signed a 2-year deal.
2-year deal.
So, is that the number that I would have gave him? I think he's deserving, given the fact that you aren't really sure what you're going to get out of Sean Couturier, given the fact that he's had multiple back surgeries now and had shoulder injuries. I think he's getting to the point where you can call him injury prone. Hopefully he can come back and be 100%. But And the Flyers don't have a lot. They traded Kevin Hayes away too, so that's another center position that's going to be needed. I think he's going to be playing big time minutes this year in Philadelphia, like he did last year, and if not even more than he did last year, because of the absence now of, or the departure rather, of Kevin Hayes. So I don't know. I hope good things are to come for Noah Cates. I think he can continue to build upon his season that he had last year. Is he going to be a 20-goal scorer? I don't know. I don't think he's necessarily built for that. I don't think he was drafted for that kind of production. Would it be great if he was or turned out to be? Sure. But that's going to depend, I think, on the players that he has around him.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, I like Noah Cates. He was actually, um, he actually received some Selke votes last year.
Sure he
Okay.
did.
I mean, I think he was like fifth,
Right. But
which
still.
for uh the you know the age that he is, the amount of time that he's been playing, and everything like that, and the team that he was on, to be even remotely considered for that. I think we have yet to see the ceiling on Mr. Noah Cates.
Yeah, I mean,
And
especially with him switching over to a center position and taking that on and just absolutely flourishing in
right,
that. I think good things are to come for Noah Cates. It's going to be out there, especially the team has been listening to offers for at least Scott Lawton, who I think he plays a very similar game to. Another guy who can play both wing and center. But I don't think the Flyers are going to get rid of him. I
I
think
don't
he's going
either.
to now be have the force to go back to maybe a possible center position as well, given the fact that Kevin Hayes is out of town. So things are going to be definitely interesting to come down the center position, but I think good things are to come for Noah Cates for sure. And I think that $2.6 million a year is going to look very, very like a great signing in 2 years' time when he's maybe moving up Selke talks and everything even more, maybe into the top three. Who knows? Hopefully he can come back and bounce back and have a great season like he did this past season. So
Like I said, I think the ceiling, we have yet to see the ceiling on Noah Cates. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be that guy that's going to get you, 40 goals a year or anything like that. But I do see him being very much, exactly what the Selke is as a defensive defenseman. And I think with the experience that he's had in the Tortorella system, and now with re-signing and maybe even more of a prominent role in the team this coming season, I think this might be his breakout year, where you might not see 30 goals from him, but I'll take 20, I'll take 19, I'll take him with a whole boatload of assists, right? I'll take him with like a plus 20. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
I'll take him with doing, maybe 18, 19 minutes a game. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with that. You know what I mean? That, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty darn good production. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
if he plays left wing, then that all goes up as far as I'm concerned. Then his window goes, his ceiling goes a little higher, you know. But I agree, he's going to have to, because of what the roster looks, he's going to have to kind of, they're going to have to work around with things going on with him. So, but I like this Noah Cates re-signing, and for somebody who was talking about how these certain things weren't really all that important. Where I think these are some of the things that are most important. Or these are some of the players that I think that you need to make sure are on roster, or that you're still continuing to develop, that are part of the team and things like that, especially with Cam York and Noah Cates. So I want to talk about another signing that's happened. It happened a couple days ago, and the Flyers seem to be stuck Russian goalies for some odd reason here. I
Hasn't really worked out for him yet, has it?
And they keep trying to dip into the well, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Kozlov, I believe, is the goalie that was signed.
Yes, so Kozlov was the 2021 third-round pick of the Flyers. He's actually from Belarus, but he's been playing in the KHL.
Okay.
He's like 6 foot tall. Um, he's played pretty good. If you got a chance to watch him, he played in 42 games this year in the KHL. 2.55 GAA, 912 save percentage. Had a losing season though. I don't know if that really depended on his team or not. He won 13 games only out of 42, so not very good win percentage. Seems kind of like what the Flyers already have at that level.
Yeah, but his GAA is that bad.
Right.
Percentage is not that bad.
Not
Do you
that
know
bad.
how many shutouts did he have?
0.
0.
Yeah.
All right.
But he played pretty good for Belarus in international play this past season. 2 games. He's allowed 2.5 goals against, 928 save percentage, and won both games that he played in. So I don't know, depending, if that was the defense he had around him and all that other stuff, who knows? But certainly the Flyers could stand to have a guy who could play in front, who could stand on his head really in front of a bad team. I think that's what the Flyers need right now. And I don't know if that's essentially Kolosov. Another thing is they signed him, and guess what? Right afterwards, his agent said, "Yeah, we're going to play in KHL anyway next year." So, yeah, I don't know.
What did you just say?
Yeah. For the
like
rumor
I said,
mill is
man,
that he will return to the KHL.
Well. They keep dipping into the well, man, and it just keeps coming up with lemons. Like, can you guys get the message yet?
Yeah, don't know.
I guess not.
Very frustrated in that sense, but let me ask you this. Who really stood out to you, if anybody, in the Flyers development camp?
Wow. I don't know. Really, I
think one of the biggest losers has got to be Cutter, right? I mean,
well, for one,
and the Flyers in the Flyers in that sense too, right? Because he didn't even bother to show up. So that in a whole sense is definitely a bit of a problem in my mind. I don't care what the Flyers want to propagate to you. Him not being there for the Flyers developmental camp and him being a first round pick who is right down the road. Now Mishkov didn't come over either, but he's already trying to get ready for a KHL season, which starts a lot earlier than the NHL season. So and he's trying to get out of that deal,
right.
and go and get out of that deal. So I can kind of excuse him. But as far as winners, I think I would have, I think Bump, had a really good camp. I like
who else
him.
I think had a really good camp too was Oliver Bonk.
Bonk and Bump, yeah. Had great camps. I think Bump did on the surprised a lot of people up front, as he did in the draft.
Look, we talked about him when he was first drafted, though, Lance,
yeah.
And we saw the potential there, right?
Yeah, I liked him. I think he's going to progress, hopefully in his travels there. But and Bonk did too. I think on the back end, his shot surprised a lot of people in camp. He was really ripping it in there, and that was nice to see coming from the blue line, especially. But also Emil Andre.
Thank you. Thank you.
He did end up injuring. He actually was the one that put the hit on. Who was it that got hurt?
DeAngelo.
Yeah, day on A, I think.
Which he
but,
was having a great camp.
Yeah.
Right until.
But I kind of like that in a sense that a 5'9" defenseman was able to lower the boom and totally take out somebody. So that says something to me in a sense that he could possibly handle North American style hockey. And even if he plays for the Phantoms,
just change your target though, bro.
Yeah.
You
next time, kind of lay off and practice a little bit. But
hold back
he's trying to make the team. He's trying to make the team and prove his worth. So they're trying to compete. So I don't know, but that is kind of my standouts. I don't know.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. But other than that, though, I thought it was pretty.
Yeah.
I mean,
to see a little bit more from some players, and I think a lot of players had a lot to prove in a sense.
And the fact that we didn't see Gauthier, I think, was a major. I really think that was a major faux pas, if you want to say that. Or what do you mean he's not coming?
Yeah, we kind of talked about that already, and last week, I believe.
I know.
And it's definitely disheartening. I don't really know, what the extent of that was. I think Bobby Brink really needed to bring it a little bit more. I liked
his camp wasn't that bad, but
it wasn't bad, but I expected a lot more.
Yeah.
And I like Cole Knuble. I think he went out there and battled a lot as well. I think, he's gonna have some say in a couple of years there.
I mean, if he's anything remotely like his dad, I'm taking that all day. I don't care.
Yeah, I was a little disheartened on the goaltender situation. I mean, they had Carson there, who they drafted, and moved up to select, but everybody else was really a camp invite, and I wanted to see some freaking prospects that are in the Flyer system, come over, and all those Russian and Belarus players, and they weren't here.
No, yet. Not allowed to have that. All right, well, so let's talk about a couple things that so we did see that a Flyer player, an ex-Flyer player, or a Flyer player that was this last we got in the trade deadline is going to the Canes. It's not DeAngelo though.
Right.
So it was Lemieux, right?
Yeah.
Goes to the Canes. Yeah, I liked
him a lot. I think he came in and was a spark plug for the Flyers. And, at a pretty reasonable cost there, too.
Yeah.
I really thought he was a Flyers guy right there. And I think that's why Carolina snatched him up.
Yeah.
Stocky kid, 6'1", over 200 pounds.
Not afraid to finish checks. Right, not afraid to get his nose dirty, not afraid to get into the greasy areas. You know what I mean? Like I'm down with that guy, right?
Yeah, I think. I mean, for production wise, I think Hathaway kind of replaced him as that gritty forward or whatever like that, and but he's also 31 years old. He cost the team a lot more than Lemieux probably would have cost to bring back. And for not that much more production, he did have 13 goals last year, but he was playing for Boston. So, I'm sorry, he had 4 goals last year while playing for Boston. So not even that much real over the top, as far as point production.
Yeah, it's not blowing your eyes off,
So like I don't know. I think I'd rather just had Lemieux come back.
Right.
In that sense, for what it's worth.
He's younger, and he's younger.
Yeah, and plus Lemieux was a left wing, which we needed. Hathaway is a right wing, so we just added to that right wing plethora of players and let a good quality, gritty left wing in Lemieux walk, and I don't know. I just didn't really sit well with me to just let him walk. I thought signing him back for a 1-year deal would have been nice for
Something.
$1 million
Yeah.
or
Or
something.
whatever, give him the JV that he got in Boston 1 year, 1 million.
Yeah.
Like really, 1 year, 1 million. All right, whatever. Okay. So one of the other things that I've seen as well is Cam Atkins is supposedly skating and going to be ready for the opener. I mean, the guy missed all of last year, okay, and had to have surgery, and I think he even had to have another surgery on top of that too, right? Didn't he have to have like a surgery, and then they had to do? I mean, I know that I know Couturier did, but I thought that he was also on that list as well. That he had to have another one that, or I could be wrong, but I know he had to have surgery, and he missed the whole year.
Yeah, I think re-aggravated it a little bit, and then just shut him down, especially with the way the season was going.
Okay.
They just rather have him 100% for this upcoming year, which hopefully he will be. But I mean, it's a great trade piece. I think, when he did come in, he 21-22 season, he scored 23 goals and 50 points for the Flyers. So, great on him. He looked great. He was a great, person in the locker room to have, a good face of the franchise, not going to get in any trouble, any of that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Good
I
quality
like this game
veteran to
too.
bring in. But, same token as Ryan Ellis, I think here, Chuck Fletcher really didn't do his homework in that sense, because his last 2 years prior to coming to Philly, he was kind of injured. He's kind of banged up. 44 games 1 year, 56 the next. Those were the COVID years too, so something can be, kind of equated to that. But he was a little banged up before even coming here. So the fact that he played 73 games in that 21-22 season, I guess was a come up from what he was the previous years. He's not getting any younger. He's 34 years old. I still think he's a young 34 though. He's got skates still. He can bring the kind of production. Hopefully he comes back in and shows some of these young guys, how to be true professional in a sense. So.
I kind of like that as well too, and I kind of look for him to be part of that leadership group. I mean, he did wear the A in Columbus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I do look for him to be part of that leadership group, that even though he may not wear a letter on his sweater, you know what I mean? And as we were not really, I mean, as far as Tortorella is concerned, there's not going to be any captains until, I guess, whenever he decides there's going to be one.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
whatever that means.
I hope he plays, because he's getting paid almost $6 million a year.
I mean,
So
it would be nice if you could suit up and go out there and skate and get some goals and stuff. That would be great. So, all right. And one of the other things that just recently happened, in fact, it was so recent, it happened today. And Lychsell re-signs a 2-year, two-way deal as well, re-signed for that. And it's as far as I'm concerned, this is a Phantoms guy, but I mean,
I think he does have call-up potential. For $787,000 a season, I like it. He's 23, so why not? That's what I want to see in the Phantoms level, right? I want to see young guys who potentially could be called up. He's a 2017 pick of the Flyers in the 6th round, so he's taken a while to develop. He played over 4 or 5 different seasons in the SHL. So he's 23, but he has a lot of pro experience at a high level of hockey. Last season, he played in 8 games for the Flyers. He recorded only 1 assist. But for the Phantoms, he scored 14 goals, 31 assists for 45 points in 53 games. So not too shabby at the AHL level. I would have definitely brought him back. I think Briere brought him back on a very reasonable deal. He very well could have asked for $900,000. And I think with all of the injured players and all that stuff that the Flyers have on their roster, the Ryan Ellis's and stuff, this could be a good quality guy who's got a very cheap salary to be able to call up and, for a very affordable price in a pinch.
Yeah,
because I think even with all the players that the Flyers got rid of and the salary cap that, they essentially dealt, that we're still having to retain some of Hayes' salary and all this stuff. So it's still going to be here, even though they're not. So this guy is going to be able to come in and hopefully step in and continue to develop his game and maybe potentially play third or fourth line minutes if somebody gets hurt this season. This is where I see him playing. I don't think he's going to make the team out of regular camp or anything like that. I think,
okay.
But, he plays a little bit of center. He plays a little bit of wing. He could be a nice utility guy, down the road of the long grueling season. Let's say that.
I'm with you, and those are the kind of guys you're going to need. So, I mean, gosh, it seems like even though there's been some subtraction, we've seemed to have gotten some addition through some subtraction. Right.
Or some retention, yeah. At least
we've got some retention through subtraction. There you go.
Right. So yeah, definitely signing back some players that needed to be brought back.
Yeah. Especially Cam York. To me, as far as I'm concerned, that was something that needed to happen. I also really am glad to see the Noah Cates, the Ronnie Attard. I'm glad that those have been taken care of as well. Do you know what I mean? They give me warm and fuzzies with looking towards the future. Okay.
Right.
If I can say that, you know what I mean? Because at least we've seen that some of these players still have more to give. They still, we haven't seen their top yet. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we talked a little bit about Attard, but 24 years old, 6'3", over 200 some pounds, right-hand shot defenseman, American-born player, former third-round pick by the Flyers, of course. He had a great year last year in the AHL. He was an AHL All-Star.
All-Star, yeah.
12 goals, 20 assists for 32 points, and was a +10 on the year for the Phantoms. I think he could really come into his own next year. I want to see him play a little bit with the Flyers. I want to see what he has because I like his game. He stands people up on the blue line, and doesn't retreat. That's what I want to see out of our defensemen, and that's what I'm not getting out of Sanheim and those type players.
All day long.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna hear any arguments out of Steel from that, boy. That's for sure. So, I know that the last thing we're going to talk about is a preview of what you got about ready to drop.
Okay. Sure.
So, and I think it ties in exactly with what we're talking about here with all of the things that the Flyers have done so far. There's still things that need to be done. You know what I mean? And I think that, Lance, why don't you tell us about what's flying here with this new latest and greatest that we're going to soon be blessed with?
So I'm editing a piece now, and it should be out hopefully tomorrow. But it's already taking a look at who the Flyers should draft for next season, after next season. This is a full-on rebuild. The Flyers are not going to be potential playoff contenders, even if Sean Couturier and Cam Atkinson come back. I think they will struggle to do anything with the other subtractions that we've had. Youth is still coming. and in the
Yeah.
form where, it looks good, but not great yet. And I think it is one more piece that makes a lot of sense, and that I'm going to point out in the article why I think this guy is going to be a shoe-in if the Flyers draft from a similar position next season.
Well, a lot of things have to go into that consideration.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I don't think that the Flyers, even if Couturier comes back, even if Atkinson plays, even, whatever, I still
A
think
lot of
that
ifs. Yeah.
you're right. And I still think that the Flyers are going to probably be picking in the top 10 because not only were there's subtractions from the Flyers, but all the teams around the Flyers all got better.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the climb to the mountain has gotten much steeper now because the teams that you have to climb over now have gotten better as well too. So it is a full-on rebuild, and I think that looking to the future and potentially looking at another top 10 pick, and I can't, I'm chomping at the bit here as to who this is even going to be about. So, man, I can't wait till this gets released.
Yeah, should be definitely interesting, right? I can't wait to get it out there and hopefully get some reactions from you guys.
I think we will.
So
we get reactions no matter what, Lance, because of what we say. So
yeah. So in a follow-up from last week too, I think the Rangers did sign Keandre Miller, their defenseman, their restricted free agent. So they gave him a pretty good chunk of money.
Yeah.
I believe in upwards of $3 million or and change
something like that.
season.
I think, yeah.
So that contract cap room is dwindling, and I just really don't see how they're going to be able to bring back Lafreniere.
Yeah,
and I
he's
still
listed
think
as one of the top free agents available.
Yeah, I mean he's a restricted free agent, but I don't know how they're going to make it get down under the cap. I really don't. So
and the Flyers are re-signing away their money to be able to bring him in as well. I mean, it's going to be one of those things where only if something's going to have some kind of deal's going to have to be made.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? So if that's what's going to happen, but man, I'd be all over that all day long, man.
Yeah, I think they should still at least be making
considering
phone calls.
that. They should still be kicking the tires on that for sure. Well, Lance, I'll tell you what, my friend, I think we got another great one here. I mean, I think, even with this little dip of Christmas in July for the Flyers, they did have quite a long list of things that they had to check twice, and I think they were able to do some of those things that we've discussed in the past episodes about what needed to happen with Flyerland and what some of the players needed to come back with, and we feel that some of those players have been retained. And all in all, I'd have to say so far July has been not so bad for the Flyers. What do you think?
Yeah, the Christmas in July for the Flyers, I think some fans maybe wanted that another big and shiny toy underneath that tree there, but
maybe next July.
Right. Well, yeah, in the way of a big name free agent signing, that's not going to really happen. They don't have the cap space.
No.
And or potentially another big exodus of Sanheim. DeAngelo was supposed to happen, has since kind of fell through. I haven't seen really any updates about that, but I think Carolina is rumored to be trying to go after Carlson. Erik Karlsson. I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but who knows? And some other pieces that are still hanging around that some fans wish would go out the door too. But I think at the end of the day, I think Briere has made some major moves, got rid of some major salaries, freed up some roster spots for some of these young prospering players that are in the system. And, it wasn't built in a day, guys. Rome wasn't built in a day. So let's give him a little bit more time. I think they're moving, him and Keith Jones are moving in the right direction. Although, some of the draft picks aren't exactly the ones I would have made, given that some of the players still on the board. But I think they swing for the fences on a couple of those picks and hoped that some of these players turn out to be more than what other teams thought they would.
I'm with you. And I agree. I think that there's been a lot of things that Danny Briere has done and Keith Jones have done since they've come on board where I've agreed with. I thought that the Provorov deal was great. Finally, somebody did something to the Flyers to try to better this team, and getting that second first round draft pick I think was huge.
Yeah.
The big giant steaming pile I think that they left with the draft is gonna haunt them. I really think that that's gonna come back to bite, okay, in a bad way. Just because I think there was so much more talent on the board that they could have taken and they didn't, okay? And they had a chance in a very, very, very deep draft, and I think they swung for the fences, but I think they swung for the wrong fence on some of them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, definitely. I think with the draft, overall, it was pretty good. If Mishkov can come over sooner rather than later and be that superstar talent that the Flyers seem to think he's going to be. Would have been nice to have Ryan Leonard, who had an excellent camp for Washington. Yes. But again, I think the Flyers were swinging for the fences. They need a face of the franchise. They need a guy who could potentially sell every single jersey of his out in the store. Mishkov is that guy. He's pretty darn talented, but there's a lot surrounding him. Going on with that, the Flyers took Bonk, who looked to have a great camp for the Flyers and looks to be a great, defenseman, which the Flyers needed in a sense, playing for the London Knights last year. But, passing up on a big, fruit of Gabe Perreault, sitting there and watching a rival like the Rangers snatching him up, I think that's going to come back to bite the Flyers later on. As far as Carson goes, the goalie for the Wheat Kings, he's ranked really high, and I don't know why. I think I would have took Damian Clary in a sense.
Yeah.
That big Italian goaltender who's had a lot of success. Trey Augustine would have been my first choice.
Well, Trey was gone by then.
He was obviously off the board by then, so I can see why the Flyers wanted to jump up and get a goaltender there. But I really don't know why they went back to back in a sense, and when they needed centers so badly, they went out and got
wingers.
Yeah, or left wingers, and they went out and got another goalie in the third round. I got the stepping it up to try to draft a goalie in the second, but I don't know if I would have done that. I really don't know if I would have done that.
I mean, if I would have done, if that would have been me and I would have gotten that second round pick, I would have probably have taken Morin. Was he available at that point? Was that before?
I think Morin went to Calgary at 48, and the Flyers picked Carson at 51. 51, yeah. So he was already gone.
All right. Okay, but still, I mean, there's probably maybe a couple other guys on the list that still could have gone to the Flyers that could potentially have been here with playing and contributing sooner rather than later. I mean, hey.
Yeah, I mean, you keep going and you see Barkey late in the third was a probably pretty good pick. I think he's a center, but he's an undersized center.
Too bad, right?
Wasn't too bad. Knuble wasn't too bad in the early.
We both like that one.
Sirnik, I don't know. We'll see. I think I'd rather have Luka Kangioli from Portland Winterhawks. I think he was a big time
Well,
point
Chernak
producing.
is the son,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So it plays into that NHL, quality players and bloodlines that they liked. But same thing. Washington snatched up defenseman Cam Allen in the fifth when the Flyers picked Carter Sutherland. Um, I don't know. I see a lot of potential people that I would have rather took, and
Yeah, me too.
we'll have to see. Obviously they're not going to make every draft pick that I would make in a sense, and these guys get paid a lot of money to do this job, so let's hope that they're right. But I don't know. Having Brent Flair still there after him really not hitting it out of the park for all those years in Minnesota
Yeah,
and
and
all
then
those years
yeah,
here under Chuck Fletcher. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I guess, time will tell if we're we study prospects a lot with the Prospect Watch and everything like that show, but we'll see if who's on the right end, us or them in a sense. But swinging for the fences was the whole deal of the draft here. We
I
tried
get
to
it.
get some big name guys who could help turn around the team really quick, and hopefully we got that. Who knows?
Well, with Crystal being available, they could have gotten with their second pick in the first round,
Yeah.
right? And then having a rival come in and snatch that player up. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, went to Washington. So
that's what I'm
Washington got
talking
a
about.
lot
So
better.
there's going to be a
Washington
lot of
got
picks that
a
are
ton
going to
better.
bite the Flyers in the butt that they taken that they didn't, and I'm tired of seeing that. Right? We could have had Cale Makar and whatever, and we didn't, and you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. There's too many of that stuff going on, right?
It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback and all that stuff, a couple of years down the road. But yes, the same thing, uh, the Rangers, a rival, got quite a few good players that the Flyers should have took instead of the players that they did.
Yeah, buddy.
Right directly afterwards. And, Washington snatching up Ryan Leonard, and
Yep.
then the next round, going back and getting Cristall, like you said, two amazing offensive talents. It's going to be hard travels for the next few years coming for the Flyers, because I think, the Buffaloes of the world have stunk for a long time, and you're starting to see all their prospects taken off. So they're going to be tough.
New Jersey's not the
New Jersey-
pushover anymore now. You know what I
He's got
mean?
a lot of smart signings, and with them over the last couple of years, and really were able to turn around their season. Where they were drafting before the Flyers, with Cutter Gauthier being picked. Now they're playoff team, and the Flyers are still picking, out of the lottery. So a lot of these teams around this East Coast region got a lot better. And
Like I said, man. Like I
Carolina,
said earlier.
the Carolinas of the world are still going to
Yep.
be good, and it's tough travels. I think it's really us in Pittsburgh that are going downhill again, and at least Pittsburgh still has Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang, who,
Right.
even though they're getting older, they're still names.
Still there. So that's
Flyers
going to
don't
make
have
them
those
relevant
names.
no matter what. Yep. Well, I'll tell you what, Lance, I think we got a good one here in the books. And I think that, one of the things that I appreciate the most about what you do, about what we do, is that we give you our researched facts. We give you the truth. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're not blowing smoke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's what other people do. All I'm saying is that we're giving you the cold hard reality. Do you know what I'm saying? And when things when we see things that we feel are good, we're more than happy to talk about it. You know what I mean? And when we feel that things are not so good, well, we don't have a problem talking about that either. You know what I mean? And so that's why we appreciate all of you folks out there listening, and appreciate all the fact that you guys still tune in every week. You guys help put us on top 10 lists for Flyers podcasts. I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to do is get out there so that you guys can listen. All you have to do is go to one of your favorite podcasting platforms, type in Hockey Writers Inc., and we will come up, and then all you have to do is give us a 5-star rating, and that helps us to get ranked even higher, you know. So really appreciate all you guys' help and all your listenings, and all your subscriptions, and just keep on keeping on, man, because that's what we're doing, and we'll keep doing it. Lance,
Yeah,
you're going to have
I
a new
mean,
article, right?
yep, gonna have a new article hopefully coming out Friday here, and like Steel said, guys, thank you for viewing, thank you for tuning in. Please tell a friend. We keep promising to come with the truth, and our heartfelt opinions and knowledge of this team and of the game itself, and not just a journalist trying to propagate for the team. All right. I don't want to read that stuff. I've never really liked reading any of that stuff. And I have a feeling you guys don't as well, or getting tired of it, at least. So, thank you for reading all the
Yeah,
articles, guys. Thank you for tuning into all the shows. Big thanks. We wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you.
that is the truth. Lance, tell the folks where we can reach you and where we can find you, sir.
Yep. Look for that new article on, of course, SteelFlyers.com,
Yeah,
as
buddy.
well as Twitter at Lance.Green39.
Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. We got maybe a potential surprise coming for y'all. We're trying to expand our coverage and expand, some things. So we're trying to work on some things to try to get expanded more into the AHL with the Phantoms, and then also with the Reading Royals. So stay tuned for some of that stuff coming here. Maybe in the future. We're trying. You know what I mean? We're trying. We're also going to try to get back with the Phantoms as far as media credentials with that, and we'll also be trying to get credentialed again with the Philadelphia Flyers, so that we can continue to bring you guys this truth and this very well educated facts that we've done the research on, and things of that nature. So with the knowledge that Lance has of the game and things of that nature, I think we put together a pretty good show. So thank you all very much for watching. I'm SteelFlyers, your coach. You can find me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52, and you can find all the great stuff that Lance was talking about, like all of his great articles and the Prospect Watch Show and the Steel Flyers podcast. You can check all that stuff out at SteelFlyers.com, so go check it out. Thank you all for watching the episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. Christmas in July for the Philadelphia Flyers, episode number 131. We'll catch you guys all on the next episode. Take care now.